When the book came out, I put forward few questions regarding the book to Hasan to know what prompted him to write this book, what are his key arguments, what he thinks could be short-term solutions, why does he place so much emphasis on the US armament industry and nuclear arms race, and to throw light on the contributions of the left, starting with Karl Marx's formulation of metabolic rift and its subsequent development by others, so as to dispel the misconception of those who accuse the left of being blind towards the issue of ecology and environmental degradation, and call leftists, within quote, productivists. Whereas in reality only the left has dealt with this issue holistically and at the most fundamental level. All that conversation is available on the web magazine Mainstream. Now it's time to listen to Hasan Abdullah himself about what he thinks about the book. And please welcome.
Respected Dr. Ravinindra, Mr. Gauri Azhar, Mr. Jacob Koshi, and Mr. Subhash Ketade, and respected invitees, let me take you through the journey of this book. Commentary will be offered by distinguished panelists. What prompted me? The pandemic prompted me to study not only COVID-19, but also the Spanish influenza of 1918-19. That inquiry led me further to China's 4+ campaign, to Britain's large-scale importation of bones and guano during its second agricultural revolution, and from there to the present, to the 6th mass species extinction, to Arctic warming, to the thawing of permafrost. Each of these reinforced a growing conviction that these phenomena are not accidents. What are they? They are nature's rebuke, her response to human overreach, to resource overconsumption, and to reckless interference in systems far more complex than we acknowledge. The next question then is, how do we understand this crisis? Two concepts offer a unifying lens: energy and entropy. Energy sustains life on Earth. Entropy, a measure of disorder, signals the degradation of systems and ultimately the end of life. From this perspective, every human activity must be evaluated on 4 counts. What are they? The purpose it serves, the resources it consumes, the entropy it generates, and the degree to which it disturbs ecological balance. The questions then are simple, but their implications are not. How healthy is our mode of existence, and how long can it be sustained? Preserving life requires minimizing waste optimizing the use of finite resources, and approaching all interventions in nature with caution and humility. So another question arises, we must ask, which human activity yields no real social benefit, yet consumes vast resources? The answer is clear. Violence. And above all, war. I don't think anybody will have any doubt. Violence is not an aberration. It is structural. It is both a product and a driver of concentrated power. Wars sustain unjust systems. The arms industry, nuclear proliferation, and mechanisms of internal repression do not merely squander immense resources. They generate the conditions for further conflict. And war does something else as well. It diverts our attention from life's essential questions. Life's purpose, its interconnectedness, and the pursuit of meaningful well-being. Then, what sustains this violence? Knowledge systems that manufacture ignorance and the institutions that preserve them. Education, as structured today, often conditions rather than empowers. That is a problem. It enhances productivity but also maintains the status quo and suppresses critical thinking. In this sense, it systematically manufactures ignorance. At the root of this lies what I call the philosophy of othering, a divisive framework that fragments human consciousness. Such division serves the interests of capital and power. Knowledge production becomes biased and selective. The public sphere is saturated with propaganda. The result is a society in which inquiry is curtailed and human beings are reduced to instruments of capital accumulation. Our institutions, national and international alike, do not merely reflect these priorities, they actively shape and sustain them. Media, policy-making bodies, corporations, and even academic institutions, all these serve to insulate dominant structures from meaningful challenge. To understand climate chaos, we must grasp this triad. What? Ideology, institutions, and praxis, the architecture of the crisis. This is not a failure of knowledge. There is abundance of knowledge. It's a systemic condition. And that is also evident from the fact that despite decades of warnings from scientists and thinkers, our movement toward existential decline continues to accelerate, driven largely by climate chaos. The repeated inaction of those in power, year after year, even at the conferences of the parties, only underscores this reality. Before turning, thank you so much. Before turning to the United States specifically, let me recall two historical episodes that illustrate how power has been used to reinforce systemic inequity. In 1957, so long ago, the CIA covertly supported the Vimochana Samaram in Kerala. That was following the introduction of progressive reforms, that is land redistribution and educational restructuring, by the communist government led by E.M.S. Namboodiripad. This intervention culminated in the imposition of president's rule and the dismissal of a democratically elected government. Decades later, retired NATO Supreme Allied Commander General Wesley Clark revealed that just weeks after 9/11, I think we all remember 9/11, he had been shown a memo from the US Department of Defense. It reportedly outlined plans to attack and destroy the governments of 7 countries in 5 years, beginning with Iraq and extending to Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and the current one, Iran. Such interventions became possible because since the Second World War, the United States has been the dominant global power, economically, militarily, and institutionally. By the late 1940s, it accounted for nearly half of global industrial production and held an early monopoly over nuclear weapons, while declining to halt their further proliferation. With the disintegration of the USSR in 1991, this dominance became even more pronounced. This concentration of power enabled the United States to divert vast resources toward militarism, entrenched in security worldwide, and normalize an arms-driven model of wasteful capitalism, embedding the military-industrial complex across much of the world. So this is my understanding. Now, this analysis points toward a path forward in 2 steps. First, the articulation and dissemination of a philosophy of policing, a vision of harmonious coexistence across species as an antidote to the philosophy of othering. Second, the development of an emancipatory movement grounded in this philosophy, one capable of transforming human consciousness and advancing a concrete, actionable program. The moment we inhabit is grave. There is no softening that. What we need is courage. Courage to rethink, courage to resist, courage to coexist.